The second promise of the covenant, the Blessed Mother says to us, I will distribute favors, gifts, and graces in abundance. So it will please me to dwell with you, and when I come, I'm going to bring many favors, gifts, and graces in abundance. So in other words, when the Blessed Mother comes, she does not come with empty hands. It's like when the grandparents come for Christmas. They don't just walk in the door without any gifts. They come with many gifts. And that's just what the Blessed Mother does. Now, she wants to bring and give us special favors. What is a favor? When you look it up in the dictionary, you find that a favor is an act of kindness beyond what is due or usual. Or another definition, it's over generous treatment. That's what the Blessed Mother wants to do. Many favors she wants to bring to us. She wants to just be overly generous with us. Gifts, we know, are a thing given willingly to someone without payment. That she's freely giving us many, many different gifts. And of course, graces. We know that the Blessed Mother is the mediatrix of all graces. So when she comes with all of these graces that we need to grow in holiness. And what is so beautiful of this promise, it says in abundance. We will receive more than we ever really need. This promise you will find on page 46. On page 47, under this promise, it speaks about the 3 special graces that the Blessed Mother wants to give to us. And these 3 special graces we call the pilgrimage graces. So she wants to give us many graces, but very much these 3 graces. The first pilgrimage grace is the grace to be at home. We know we live in a time of great homelessness, physical homelessness, but also to a large extent spiritual homelessness. There's a story told of a little girl who went to school one day, and they had just been evicted from their home, their house, and the teacher knew about this, and so she wanted to say something to console this little girl, and so she said to her, I'm sorry you don't have a home anymore. And she said, oh, we have a home, we just don't have a house to put it in. Because a home is not simply the building. The home is where you feel loved, where you feel sheltered, where you feel secure, where you feel taken care of, where you are educated and helped to grow. That's home. So you can live under the bridge in a cardboard box and have a home, and you can live in one of these beautiful mansions of $2 or $3 million, and it's only a house. So there's a lot of this spiritual homelessness today. And that's why the Blessed Mother wants to give us the grace to be at home. The grace, first of all, to be at home with God. That I feel very sheltered in Him as my Father. That I know He takes care of me, that He provides for me. I feel very comfortable, very taken in by God, my Father. To be at home with the Blessed Mother. That I feel very accepted by her, very understood by her. That she's there for me with all of her love and with all of her kindness. To be at home within the Schoenstatt family, our spiritual home. And to be at home in our own home. That's very important. She wants to create within our family a real home experience. And how do you define that home experience? I define it by looking at the Transfiguration. Peter, James, and John are there, and Jesus is transfigured. They see him, who he really is. And what does Peter say? Lord, it is good to be here. We want to stay here. Here we're going to build our tents. We don't want to go back down there. And that's that experience that in our family, the Blessed Mother wants to create this atmosphere where we can say it is good to be here. There's something special here. This is home. And this is the first pilgrimage grace that the Blessed Mother wants to give us. The second pilgrimage grace is what we call the grace of inner transformation. She wants to help to change us. She wants to help us to become another Christ, a reflection of her Son. So the words of St. Paul can become true in our life as well. It is not I who live, but Christ who lives in me. So who encounters me encounters Christ. Now that's going to be a lot of work because we have our own broken nature as a consequence of original sin and our own personal sins. And so the Blessed Mother wants to help us, to change us, to transform us. There's a beautiful example of this, or a way to explain it a little bit differently, and that is some time ago we had a group of 5th graders in the shrine, and one of the sisters was explaining these 3 pilgrimage graces. And there was a little one who was writing really, really a lot, and the sister thought, what is this little one writing? I mean, really? And so then they had to leave, and the little one left his notebook in the shrine. So the sister just went over and then she said, just let me see what he was writing. And he was writing the 3 pilgrimage graces, the grace to be at home. And then for the second grace of inner transformation, he said the grace of inner transportation. And he had it right. Because we want to be transported from our old self into the new self. In Schoenstatt, we call that the new person that Schoenstatt wants to form. This Christ-like person, this Marian person, this person who is a free person. And we know that the understanding of freedom is greatly misunderstood today. Many people think, I'm free, I can do what I want, as I want, when I want, because I'm free. But we know the true definition of freedom, the real free personality, is to be free from in order to be free for. To be totally free from everything that is not of God, and to be free for God and His wish and His will. That's true freedom. And then, of course, the new person that the Blessed Mother wants to form is the person who really lives their faith in every aspect of daily life. Because we know there's a big difference between knowing my faith and putting it into practice. And we want to lessen that abyss between those two. And that's what the Blessed Mother does through this grace of inner transformation, forming us into that new person, that saintly person. The third grace, pilgrimage grace, that the Blessed Mother gives us is apostolic fruitfulness. She wants us to be fruitful in all of our apostolic endeavors. Schoenstatt is really a movement of apostles, of being apostolic. And so the Blessed Mother wants to be with us and help us that all of those activities we can be fruitful in. And of course, there's many forms of apostolate. The first apostolate is the apostolate of being. By our very being, we can be apostolic. Father Kentenich, our founder, often said, what you are, the way you live, affects others. It determines their misfortune or increases their happiness. So everything that you and I do, our very being, who we are, we lead people a little bit closer to God or a little bit away from Him. And of course, we know this is the most powerful way that we are apostolic, that we evangelize, is by our very being. Pope Paul VI called it being a wordless witness. I don't say a lot of words, but by my very being. Or the beautiful example that we know from St. Francis of Assisi, when he told one of his brothers, we're going to go preaching today. And so off they go, and they go from town to town to town, and they say nothing. And finally, after a little while, the brother says, I thought we were going to preach today. And he said, we are, just by our very being. So we have the apostolate of being. We have the apostolate of prayer, praying for others. We have the apostolate of sacrifice, of suffering. And then the apostolate of very activities that we can become a part of. And in whatever those apostolates are, the Blessed Mother wants us to be fruitful. And so I would encourage you to look more specifically at those 3 pilgrimage graces, and to know that the Blessed Mother offers those to us in the shrine, that we should ask her for those 3 pilgrimage graces which are so needed for us to grow in holiness, to become these great saints. So this is the second promise of the covenant. I will distribute favors, gifts, and graces in abundance. She is very generous. She cannot be outdone in her generosity. And therefore, it is to our benefit to invite her into our lives in this covenant relationship.